Hey there, folks. Welcome to Spectrum Pulse. We talk about music, movies, art, and culture. And man, the catching up on my backlog effort has been one for the ages, I will say that. I still feel like there's so much to do. March looks busy as hell. And I gotta be honest, I'm kind of exhausted getting through some, let's call them frustrating albums. You'll get which one I'm talking about when we get to it, but let's not waste any more time. Let's get on the pulse. So before you go any further, if you'd like to like and subscribe, I would be extremely grateful. These sort of episodes don't get shared around a lot. If you could, that'd be awesome. And again, like the more distribution this gets, the better off the shorts do. It all kind of compounds pretty well. But now onto the matter at hand. We got 8 projects on the docket. Let's first get started with, from second in command, Rainbow Road 2. So last year, Rainbow Road gave me a couple of my favorite cloud rap songs, and second is doubling down on that sound and flair. It's looser and lighter, it's more diverse, even venturing into synth pop. Second is having a lot of fun with a lot of love-struck bangers where between the harmonies and very playful and defiant queer hedonism, it's easily their most expressive to date. And while the production is just as chirpy and colorful, this might be some of their best mixing and mastering to date as well. And while there's still traces of angst in that darkness, the more sensitive pop ballads on the back half of the album could be among some of their best. It does feel a little long to sustain the momentum, and while I like the back and forth interplay with their guest rappers, the contrast in vocal mixing does remain a bit jarring, but still, it's among their most accessible work. I personally think this is really damn good. It's ear candy. Check it out. From Screaming Females, Desire Pathway. This album seems to be flying under the radar, and that kind of surprises me. This band's always made a really damn solid riff-driven alt and indie rock, and when you narrow the focus into a truly vicious breakup album, there's a lot to appreciate here. From Marissa Paternoster's terrific shredding, throaty vibrato, and lyrics that show the nasty, bass-heavy edges that come in giving too much of yourself to domineering partners, and the messy emotions ripping yourself free. And while there were some brighter hooks on the self-referential All at Once, this album feels slower, heavier, but also more diverse in a lot of callbacks to the Cranberries, PJ Harvey, even Sleater Kinney. It's not reinventing the wheel by any means, and it's hard to escape thoughts that they could be doing a little more with their raw fundamentals that are so strong. But again, if you dig this sort of textured and emotive but accessible 90s alt and indie rock, you'll dig this. I certainly did. Great stuff. From Kelsea Ballerini, Rolling Up the Welcome Mat. I did not bring up Kelsea Ballerini's divorce explicitly when I reviewed Subject to Change last year. If she wasn't ready to talk about it, I understood. Well, in this EP, she is ready, and it's easily the best thing she's ever made. It tilts back towards her poppier sound, but the ethereal edges accentuate negative space in the most heartbreaking song she's ever written, describing a marriage that fails where enough is left implied to make the sad details sting all the deeper, in grief, fear, neglect, bitterness, and ultimately some form of acceptance. If I was nitpicking, a couple rough edges from being self-produced in the mastering, the Taylor Swift influence is kind of obvious, and I always like a bit more organic tone, but yeah, this is excellent. It legit sucks that it took real trauma to get here, but I hope getting it all out helped in the long run. In the meantime, y'all should hear this. It's special. From Dierks Bentley, Gravel and Gold. Here's a tough question. Even if it's been 5 years since The Mountain, if you know there's gonna be too many Music Row concessions on the album, is it even worth covering some new Dierks Bentley? Well, I'd actually say yes, because with rare exception, this is him taking the recent, warm, weather-beaten neo-traditional sound in stride, full of mandolin and fiddle, and it leads to probably his best solo record since Up on the Ridge. Following from the Irish Goodbye on the Mountain, he's spent his years wandering on his own with some wry observational flair. It feels more single man than you might expect, but more secure in himself when he wants to venture into the slightly silly or genuinely heartfelt. The Ashley McBride collab is a real standout here. It's probably more comfortable and even a bit compromised in this lane than you might want. He could afford to experiment more, but goddamn, it's a really good lane. Please check this out. From Caroline Polachek, Desire I Want to Turn Into You. This was one of my most anticipated albums of 2023. Even if I was lukewarm on the singles, Pang has aged so well, the critical acclaim here was so encouraging, and thus it's kind of weird that I'm cooler on this than I want to be. Don't get me wrong, I love Polachek's playful, ethereal voice, and her fluttery, key-bending tumble can hit so many moments of striking beauty, but whenever you expect it to hit real transcendence or a higher stakes experiment, outside of the Garage meets Celine Dion tribute to Sophie of I Believe, the Grimes Dido collab of Fly to You, or the Savage Garden meets Bagpipes of Blood and Butter, there feels like a deliberate sidestep, the yearning abstracted. Pair it to some shaky high-end mastering and glassy, plucky pivots that have some good grooves but less punch, except maybe the Shakira riff of Sunset. It's breezier, but also feels safer. It's still a great album, just not quite transcendent. From Skrillex, Quest for Fire. Alright, the last time I reviewed Skrillex was Recess, back in 2014. Not exactly a good review on my part. I bounced off his bro step wobbles pretty hard. And while he's kept active with producer credits the last decade, this is the first part of a double release with this widely hailed as the better album. And I'll give Skrillex this. His command of mix dynamics, texture, swagger, and groove has improved immeasurably to go with the split between crushing drops and clattering house and garage. I mean, getting Jamie XX, Fortet, and Fred Again will definitely help with that. Now, lyrically, it's still undercooked between brash flexing and pleas for community amidst the cacophony, but what I think still holds me back are lingering issues that I've had with Skrillex for years. The incessant pitch shifting, the ear candy melodies that don't always pay off in the drops, and a grab bag approach to sequencing. So yes, I can appreciate this more. I'll even call it good, just not really sure I'll revisit it much. From Gorillaz, Cracker Island. So I haven't been truly wowed by Gorillaz in about a decade, so when I started seeing mixed reviews for the album whose name you cannot say on Twitch, I had some trepidations, and they feel a bit justified. Damon Albarn's now borrowing more tropical, synthwave, even reggaeton textures from his guest stars, which leads to another edgeless, listless, weirdly abortive album, full of a lot of underdeveloped Californicated ennui, but that's not new. The past 10 years, I'm not really surprised by this. I actually appreciate Greg Kurstin finally providing a deeper, rounded fullness to the bass grooves and synths, but swapping out any grit or any menace for this hazy earnestness by the very end, it implies more about communal healing, cults, and LA's obsession with them, youth, and the emptiness of social media than actually bringing any of it together. It feels shallow and weirdly anonymous. I mean, the vibes are fine, I guess. I'm just not sure I'm gonna remember them. From Morgan Wallen, One Thing at a Time. Okay, let's be real. Music Row knew that nobody wanted apology songs, and they steered them away from the double down. They know that Morgan Wallen's greatest strength is playing the sensitive, damaged bro stumbling between bottles, where honesty and relatability papers over the inertia, where struggle and vague promises of doing something or better is what the consuming public needs to believe. The problem is that over 36 songs from the Nashville gristmill, from serviceable but grooveless neo-traditional cuts to the plastic rollick of pop country to the sour, self-satisfied country trap that's as canned and cheap-sounding as ever, Wallen's over-processed, squawking charm offensive just can't break through all the bloated emptiness. At least Dangerous had a couple standouts. This is a soupy, stream-trolling, generic love bomb that's built to overwhelm on sheer product volume. Because granting forgiveness, that's your choice. Gotta ask, was this all worth it? So once again, thank you all so much for watching. If you'd like to like and subscribe, I would be extremely grateful. I understand that these sort of compilation episodes don't always do the best, but hey, if you want to watch, please pay attention. It's nice. It gets us shared around a little bit. That's even better. Beyond that, though, anything else I might be able to do to improve my presentation, I'm all ears. And if you guys want to get albums on that overloaded schedule, or just support me beyond my merch down there in the description below, or hell, just want to argue with me more effectively, link to my Patreon is right over there. Don't feel obligated, tough times, I understand, but the option is available. Till then, I'm Mark, you're watching On the Pulse on Spectrum Pulse, and I'll see you next time.